These are some of the highest probabilities for today's slate. This is the Daily Profit brought to you by Linemaker Sports. I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports, and in today's show, we're going to go through some of the highest probability plays in MLB. But before we get to there, let's talk about yesterday's show, and let's talk about some of the F-bombs that I had to go through, because guess what? We swept the card with those. All right, let's talk about first. We had Mookie Betts, who had a 71% probability to get a hit. That one was a little bit sweaty because it took us till about the 7th inning to be able to get that. But he ended up knocking a single around, and we ended up cashing on that one. Then we went to college football, where we had the Western Kentucky quarterback to go under 289.5 passing yards. That one also got a little bit sweaty because right towards the end of the third quarter, he threw a 75-yard pass for a touchdown that brought him to 281 yards passing. Luckily, they went up by like 17, and all they focused on was running the ball for the whole fourth quarter and running the clock out. So he didn't have one more passing yard after that huge play, which benefited us. So we ended up hitting that under 289.5 for the passing yards. Then we went to the NHL for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews, who has been held scoreless throughout the beginning of the season. But he ended up getting one through the net and getting us over 0.5 points, which he had a 77% probability to do that. So we swept the board with the F-bombs. Now let's talk about the show. We talked about the two pitchers yesterday, Luis Severino and Walker Buehler. Both didn't have great stats. All right, they just didn't. But both came out and pitched pretty well. Neither of them actually gave up a run. They didn't play too long into the game, but Severino, as soon as they pulled him, the Mets got rocked around. So, pitching-wise, really not what we expected there. We thought maybe they were both going to get knocked around a little bit. But like I said, the playoffs, it's very hard to pinpoint some of the pitching because sometimes pitchers can be great in the regular season, then terrible in the postseason, or terrible in the regular season, but then good in the postseason. So, just depends on, what you're going to get there. Pete Alonso, he ended up not getting a hit either because he was on the opposite side of that 8-0 rout by the Dodgers. So that ended up coming up short as well, which is what you're going to get sometimes with those sub 60% probabilities. You are going to have ones where they end up missing. So it is what it is. That's just the way that it goes. Let's go into today's slate and talk about what we got because we're going to go through MLB. But there is a lot of stuff going on today. There's NHL, college football, the NFL. So we will talk a little bit about that as well. But let's start with the New York Yankees pitcher, Clark Schmidt. He's got a 70% probability to go under 2.5 earned runs. That drops just a little bit to 66% for the under 2.5 versus the top 10 batting teams. Now, Guardians are not one of the best batting teams, so I like this play right here for under 2.5. Honestly, right off the bat. I actually like, rather than, yesterday both pitchers, I didn't like doing the over or the under on neither of them. But today, Clark Schmidt, the under 2.5, he should have a pretty good shot at getting that against a Guardians team. The Guardians need to win. I mean, this is a must win for them. But the pitching for Clark Schmidt, he's been pretty good. His last outing, he went 4.2 innings and gave up 2 earned. So, not the greatest outing, but decent outing. And possibly the Yankees, if he gets in any type of trouble, they might just pull him. So, I honestly am okay with the Clark Schmidt play here for the pitcher, under 2.5 earned runs. And a lot of people wonder, where can you find a lot of these under 2.5 earned runs in the postseason? I have found that ESPN Bet is probably the best. And they always have an under 2.5 earned run no matter who the pitcher is and who they're going against. They always have that option on there. So that is, a place where you can find those bets at. Let's get to the next pitcher here, Jose Quintana. We've talked about him plenty of times. All right. During the regular season, he was decent. He went 62% under that 2.5 earned run mark. Now, when he goes against better teams, he pitches better for sure. That goes up to 71%. For under 2.5 earned runs against the top 10 batting. Now, again, the Dodgers are a top 10 batting team, so they are a good batting team, as we've seen. So, he The numbers are there for him to go out and pitch pretty good against the Dodgers. It's just always iffy against the Dodgers because there could just be one or two men that get on, and next thing you know, Ohtani comes up, Mookie comes up, Freeman comes up. They could just hit a bomb and get 3 runs home. So the numbers are there. And his last outing, he did pretty well. 5 innings, didn't give up a run. So he was pretty solid in his last outing as well. It's just me personally, maybe it's, not looking at the numbers, a little biased with the Dodgers because they have a heavy hitting squad and they can end up, rocking pitchers for sure. But the numbers are there for Jose Quintana. I feel more safe going with Clark Schmidt rather than Jose Quintana, but that's up to you to make that decision. I'm here to give you the numbers. At the end of the day, you make the decision of what it is you exactly want to do. Now let's get to the Dodgers pitcher, Yamamoto. During the regular season, 68%, under 2.5 earned runs. That dropped a little bit when he goes against better batting teams. His last outing, he pitched a pretty good outing, 5 innings, 0 earned. So I think when it comes to Yamamoto here, he's almost on that tier of like, do you trust him or do you not? Because he can go out and he could pitch a gem, and he can also go out and give up a couple runs in the first 2 innings. So it's kind of, I feel like we got a better shot here with Schmidt rather than Yamamoto going against the Mets, because the Mets are right on that brink of top 10 in batting. They are pretty good at batting. So I'd rather take Schmidt here against the Guardians rather than Yamamoto against the Mets. And then I just told you how I felt really much about Quintana against the Dodgers. Dodgers, I feel like, are the best hitting squad pretty much that's left. So being on the opposite end of that, it's not too comfortable. But again, if the numbers are there, the numbers are there. So you can have an opportunity there. But Yamamoto, I probably wouldn't touch the under 2.5 with him, because we can go elsewhere. You can go elsewhere here for a pitcher. And again, just because I give you guys these probabilities does not mean you need to play every single one of them. All right? I only play the ones that are 70% and above. That's the only ones that I end up playing. If they are below 70%, most likely I pass on it. That's just the way that it goes. Unless, it's a hitter to get a hit and he's like 67%, 68%, but he has like an incredible matchup and he's batting 500 or something like that against the opposing pitcher, then I might take an exception and actually do that. But other than that, usually I'll just stick with that 70 percentile and above. All right, because when it goes down below, that's just not the percentages I want. Because if I'm putting a heavy unit size on it, I want to be with the highest probability plays, the ones that have the highest probability of giving me a chance to win. That's really the end game here. That's the goal. Now, we do have one hitter, all right, one hitter to talk about, Will Brennan. And for him to not cross the plate, he's got a 72% chance at that, to not cross the plate. He's batting 167 against Schmidt. So this is pretty good because this is in the matchup that I like as pitcher as well. And we're going above 70% here, so not bad. The only problem I have is the Guardians need to win this game. So for them to win, they have to score runs obviously. But I do believe, you do have an advantage here. He's batting lower in the lineup, so he could possibly only get 3 at-bats if the Yankees are pitching well. So this is definitely an option to be able to go with, because you can kind of sandwich him with Schmidt under 2.5 as well. So if Schmidt is pitching well, obviously Will Brennan's not going to cross the plate. All right, so pretty good little sandwich there for the Yankees-Guardians game with Will Brennan and Clark Schmidt. Now, let's talk about the F-bombs that I got for today. Like I said, they hit very high. All right, the percentage for them hitting is high, and it correlates with the percentages that you see there. So I have an NFL prop that has an 87% probability of hitting, which is pretty solid. We got an NHL prop that has 79% and a college football prop that has an 83%. So almost 3 80+% plays today. So pretty solid there for the F-bombs. Let's talk about the pitchers and stuff one more time here. All right, so let's talk about Clark Schmidt. He's probably the one that I like the most for pitchers today to go under 2.5 runs. That'll probably be the one that I would like the most. Yes, 66% against top tier batting teams, but Guardians are not a top tier batting team, so I do give him a little bit of a boost there as well. Jose Quintana, he's got the numbers. The numbers are impressive. The probability numbers are there. I just don't like when you go against the Dodgers. The Dodgers are just a great batting team. They have a stacked lineup, and you can get hit with a 3-run homer from anybody almost in that lineup. So just that alone makes me a little uncomfortable when it comes to taking an under 2.5 earned runs against that high-powered offense. Now let's go to Yamamoto. Yamamoto against better batting teams drops to that 61%. That almost drops out of that 60 percentile. I don't like it because he's a bit inconsistent. So he can go out there and he can pitch great, but then that could be followed up by, he gets knocked around. So not really what I like to see. And like I said, you can go better option here with Schmidt against a lackluster offense for the Guardians. And then we got Will Brennan, who is above 70%. All right, 72% for him to not cross the plate. He doesn't bat well against Schmidt. Now, he only has, I think, 6 at-bats against Schmidt, so not much data to back it. But if you like Schmidt and you want to go with the under 2.5, this is another way you can sandwich it as well. And with a 72% probability, you can definitely take a stab at it. The only downside really is just the Guardians need to win the game. Other than that downside, there's really nothing else because he's batting down in the lineup, so he could get only 3 at-bats if it comes down to it. And he's going to get Schmidt. He's not batting well against him, so he should get 2 or 3 at-bats maybe against Schmidt if Schmidt's pitching well. So we do have an advantage there with Will Brennan. And we did actually hit this the other day with Will Brennan as well. We ended up, I think it was like 2 days ago. Might have been 2 or 3 days ago. We ended up hitting him on the under as well for the under run scored. All right, but this is the Daily Profit, guys. And like I said, if you want the F-bombs for today, go in the description and click the link. If you guys want me to teach you exactly how I come up with these probabilities, I do that as well. Book a call in the description, and I will teach you exactly one-on-one how to come up with the plays that I show you every single day on each show, and alongside moneyline plays, totals, and spreads. As always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. This is the Daily Profit. I'll catch y'all in tomorrow's show. Till then, I'm out.